This video is brought to you by my generous backers over on Patreon. If you'd like to support the channel and get cool perks like access to the Discord, seeing the videos a week before anyone else, or exclusive Patreon only gameplays, then feel free to check out my Patreon. The link's in the description below. Haktos the Unscarred versus Brago King Eternal. Now, Grim Monolith takes us into a lot of mana, obviously, but it doesn't help us get our commander out. Although if we get into red, we can go Wheel of Fortune. I'm actually going to keep that. If we get into the red for Wheel of Fortune, we'll only be a couple of colours away from getting down our commander anyway, which we should draw into with Wheel of Fortune. So let's go for the Grim Monolith first of all. And then our opponent's going for a turn 1 rock, and we get into Honour of the Pure, which we can at least cast. So we'll go for that here, but we really need to see red mana soon. And then our opponent follows it up with a Wall of Omens, and alright, apparently shouldn't have kept that hand. So we'll just pass it again and keep our fingers crossed. Crystal Shard from our opponent. They could point that at some of our stuff. I mean, if we roll a 3, they can point it at our commander. We get into the red we need anyway, so let's go for that. And we'll get out eedi-H before the wheel. Then out comes Brago. They're going to be able to flicker the Wall of Omens. This comes in tapped, I think. Yeah, so that's not a particularly good flicker target. Wall of Omens is, though. A Boros Signet into a Wheel of Fortune is okay. We're only going to be missing one bit of coloured mana. Let's go... We'll go Grim Monolith and hope that we can actually cast something after the wheel. Oh wow, we get into pretty much nothing but all the colours we need. I wish I'd gone for the Day of Destiny now. Anyway, let's go Mountain into Sol Ring. And then Earthquake doesn't touch things with flying, unfortunately. We could get rid of the Wall of Omens, but I think it's best if we just save the Earthquake. This is not discarding a land. So let's just go like that and pass. Did I just use coloured mana to get the Sol Ring down? I might have done. Yeah, I might have used coloured mana there when we could have gone for my commander. Oh well. I've only just jumped on, so I need to warm up yet if that's what I did. A Panharmonicon as well, so they're going to be able to untap their commander and draw a couple of cards. And they go up to 8. Expedition map for us. We drop a Plains. We'll go in for our commander. We rolled a 2, so they can block with the Wall of Omens. They can't target us with Crystal Shards though. So we could go for an Earthquake and get rid of the Wall of Omens, but I think I want to hold up the mana. Because if they point the Crystal Shard at our god, we're not going to be able to pay for that. So we'll allow them to draw some more. Play out the Expedition map and crack that. And we will grab ourselves a Cavern of Souls, just in case our opponent has counter magic and we need to go for our commander again. Attacking straight in with Brago again, and they've only got one thing to flicker still, so they're just continuing with the card draw. They've gotten a lot of cards off of that Wall of Omens. And targeting their Crystal Shard, curiously enough, so what are they targeting there? Yep, going for the eedi-H. We will pay 1 for that. They're forcing us to take 2 from the Ancient Tomb. Lightning Greaves most likely goes on to Brago. Oh, and of course they untapped the Crystal Shard, so they can get rid of eedi-H. But I'm just assuming that we're not going to draw into anything here, so yep, Don't draw into anything. Let's go Cavern of Souls and we'll name... human we'll name... No, we'll name Warrior. A little bit more generic. And we'll go in for Iroas again, just so the Wall of Omens can't block. I'm probably going to go for Earthquake anyway. And that lands. Let's go in for attacks. And we'll get 7 points of commander damage on our opponent. If they had 2 creatures at 2 CMC, they'd be able to block, but Iroas gives our commander Menace. And then just to keep them getting any more value off of that Earthquake, we'll get rid of the Wall of Omens. That's 4 damage to each of us as well. They can go for the whole Crystal Shard thing again, but we've got a surplus of mana here. I don't mind recasting the Iroas again, especially when we're not drawing into much of anything. I'm just glad that we got into that Honour of the Pure, because it's the difference between us having to hit our opponent 4 times and us only having to hit them 3. They didn't go for the little Crystal Shard trick this time. There we go, just getting into another land. Let's drop the Prismatic Vista and we'll swing in again. Yeah, there we go. They always have it. That is Cyclonic Rift. So we really need to get into some haste of some kind at this point. We definitely go in for the Sol Ring and the Boros Signet. Then we get down our Haktos again. And we'll also go in for Iroas just in case we need to swing in with both next turn. Rolled a 2 again, by the way. Knocking us down to 3, and with all the cards they've drawn, they haven't really gotten into anything that they actually want to flicker, apparently. This is a creature, isn't it? Yeah, so they can't target us with that because we rolled 2 again. No need to target their own Brago. And let's see if they've got anything else. Archetype of Aggression is just Trample. Yeah, we can get that down just in case our opponent has some kind of flash creature, a Snap Mage or something like that. They could block Haktos with that. Although not with Menace. Yeah, well, we'll get it down anyway. It adds to the devotion. It's also a warrior, I didn't realise that, so we might as well put the warrior mana into that. That animates Iroas. We'll get down Honour of the Pure. Iroas does not have Summoning Sickness because we played it last turn. We'll see if they've got anything else for us. Okay, getting rid of Iroas. But at least we gained some life there because we were on the ropes there. And our opponent didn't draw into anything. Yeah, pretty sketchy one there. I didn't play that as tightly as I could. But our opponent didn't really get into much with regards to card draw either. Then again, after that wheel, we didn't really get into much either. Yeah, it's really lords and buffs that we want. Anyway, as per usual, that was a quick one, so we'll get on to the next game now. Haktos the Unscarred versus Rurikthar the Unbowed. Don't think we're going to make use of that defense grid. We can pitch it to the Faithless Looting though. And we've got almost all of our mana along with a couple of lords. That's about as good a hand as we can ever hope for. Nothing for our opponent to do on turn 1. There's a plateau. Let's just lead off with a mountain. We've got all the mana we need now for a turn 4 Haktos. Might go in for the Bloodsworn Steward first though. And speaking of haste, there's a Chroma's Memorial. We're a ways off that, so I think it's a Chroma's Memorial and Defense Grid going in the bin. Then a Field of Ruin from our opponent. Not worried about that one bit. So nothing to do on turn 2. Let's just drop. We'll go for the Plateau. And we'll hold up the Path to Exile. I imagine any creatures that our opponent wants to play are ramp based in the early game, so Path to Exile might not be as good as it normally would be. And that's a shame, they're missing lands. So I imagine we might see an early scoop in this one. We'll go Bastion Protector as opposed to the Faithless Looting. Because our opponent might have some Canna removal. They get into the green they need, that's good. If they've got some Canna removal, they might want to point it at this because it will give our commander Indestructible. And I'd rather the removal went on this than the Bloodsworn Steward, to be honest. Because I do like the haste. Alright, they go for the Field of Ruin. Probably more to convert their colourless mana into the colour they need more than anything, to be honest, but it keeps us in colours still, not really worried about Field of Ruin. Now we've got Menace as well. Let's try... Does it really matter if we have haste? Either way, we're just swinging in next turn. Let's keep a Lord in our hand on second thoughts, just in case they've got some kind of removal that they could actually use on our commander. They will need a 4 CMC damage spell, or a 4 CMC targeted removal thing of some kind. I don't really know what they could have. Ravenous Chupacabra in black springs to mind, but in red... Oh, they could have the Flametongue Carvu, that would work. If it wasn't indestructible, that is. Now, Nissa comes down. They're not going to be able to block with the plant. We can swing in at Nissa with the Bastion Protector just to keep the plant tokens down. Let's go Plains into... We could get straight through to Nissa, actually, if we go Goblin War Drums. Yeah, that doesn't give itself haste. We'll be able to knock Nissa out near enough with that next turn anyway, so let's go for piling on as much commander damage as we can with the Bloodsworn Steward. Then if we can get one more buff onto Haktos, we'll be able to take our opponent out next turn. Swinging at Nissa with the Protector. And they block the damage onto their commander. Yeah, they didn't get into the lands they needed. If Rurik Thar needs anything, it's ramp, and they don't normally struggle getting into ramp, but clearly they did this time. We were getting into another land, yeah, just some more lands next turn. Another really fast one, so let's go for a third, and probably final run. Haktos the Unscarred versus Elsha of the Infinite. With no Cavern of Souls in hand, but we do have some Lords and Honour of the Pure. Yeah, we've got some Anthems to play. Go for our usual tap land on turn 1. Wayfarer's Bauble to start things off from our opponent. And there's that third land we need, so let's start setting up for our commander. Get down the Honour of the Pure. And if we manage to stick all of our Lords, as well as our commander, we'll actually have 11 power on Haktos. Seems like it's a bit hopeful, but, well, we can go for it. Let's drop the Plains, going for the Bastion Protector again. Yeah, I just assumed that Elsha's full of counter magic, but we'll have to see what happens. They go for the Wayfarer's Bauble, most likely for blue. Then a Fabricate. They've got more blue mana there, so if they do have counter magic, they're likely to be able to play it, but looks like they're just ramping into their commander. Brave the Sands. We just drop our commander while we've got the chance here. They might have free counters, but there's only one way to find out. That comes down really quickly, so it's just a case of trying to get through. It is protection against CMC spells of 2. Or everything but 2, I should say, so they can go for things like Go for the Throat and Cyclonic Rift, things like that. But no Swords to Plowshares or Path to Exile from our opponent, not onto Haktos anyway. Yeah, let's go for Lavisa in the hope that we can get into a win next turn. They've got counter magic held up, but we'll try and get it through here. Then we'll just swing through with Haktos, so there's no risk of us losing the Bastion Protector in combat. Alright, so telling time. That buffs their commander, but we don't really care about that. That is, look at the top 3 cards, 1 into your hand, 1 on top and 1 on the bottom. We don't get to look at the cards. But as you can see, our Haktos is at 11 power, so 1 more hit, and that's them done for. And a Ponder, they're continuing to dig. Followed by a Mox Diamond. You can... Oh, you look at the top card of your library, you don't play with it revealed. Okay. So we don't get to see the top of the library with Elsha. It's likely that in white they're going to have board wipes. Problem is, Our commander has indestructible, so they'll get rid of the lords, but they won't get rid of our commander. Alright, a time warp. They're just buying themselves time at this point, as far as I can tell. They could swing in at us and maybe put double strike on Elsha. Getting into all sorts off the top. And then it is a Paradox Engine. Can they play anything else for free off the top? They're going to have a whole heap of mana next turn. Only one of which is coloured at least. Blocking here. Yeah, I don't think we block here. Let's see how much they can do straight off the top with that Paradox Engine. Which, before you say anything in the comments, is unbanned in 1v1 Commander online. Which is exactly why our opponent is playing it. Probably just getting out the rock first of all, because that is a coloured source and it'll untap with every spell that they cast. So they tap down all the rocks and then play a spell. And that'll float them a bunch of mana. Now a Smothering Tithe. That won't have much time to get them much tokens, I wouldn't have thought. We just want to see a few lands off the top, preferably. Now it is a tear, destroying that thing. We're still at 10 power though, so we can still take them out next turn. Then a Narset Transcendent. We've rolled a 2, so Narset, I don't know if it targets anyway. No, it doesn't target creatures anyway, but they couldn't have targeted Haktos with that. And a Mind's Desire, they have got 5 copies of that, thanks to the storm count of 5. And they got into a bunch of lands and a Narset Parter of the Veils, which we don't really care about in this deck. We do have a wheel. Frantic Search, they're just trying to buff their commander as much as they possibly can, I think. And another extra turn from our opponent. Let's see how many extra turns they need to take before they can actually take us out of the game. They're up to 10 power at the moment. So they will need to be at 13 power before they can take us out to commander damage. And they get a Mystical Tutor into their hand. So surely our opponent's got us here. Even more mana rocks to untap with the Paradox Engine. Then swinging in for 12. They can probably play something at instant speed, so we'll have to block there. And then, oh yeah, they've got an extra turn after this, so we'll at least force them to replay a bunch of stuff and get their power back up. Out comes that Mystical Tutor with a bunch of mana floating thanks to the Paradox Engine. And yeah, another extra turn spell. That's on top. They'll have to draw into that next turn. Oh, unless they just want to go for it now. I mean, yeah, no reason not to hard cast it. They just draw it off of the Narset. I was thinking they were setting it up for next turn, but no need not to just hard cast it now. So all our opponent has to do is cast enough spells and get themselves up to 13 power and then swing in. And they go for an extra turn. Do they have enough spells to cast? I mean, I suppose they could get into more spells for enough power across 2 turns with both their Narsets. Then they go in for a Scroll Rack. They've only got 1 card in hand, but it might be the card on top that they can cast it off the top anyway, so I don't really see what Scroll Rack does for them at this point. Going in for a Jeweled Amulet. They are at 11 power. And then they swing in for 3 straight away next turn. And that's the game won. So we'll give them the opportunity to start off their next turn. They should just go straight through to combat and beat us up for the victory. And that is what they do, respectfully. So that's a good game to our opponent. I don't feel too bad about losing that one because it did entail our opponent playing a bunch of Solitaire Magic. I don't know how many extra turns they took in a row there, but there's not really a whole lot we can do about that, apart from playing the, what's the red enchantment that costs 4 that stops things like that. Anyway, not really too bothered about playing around things like that. Hopefully some of you enjoyed the Elsha of the Infinite going off there, and be sure to let me know if you want to see more Haktos. I'm tribalkai on the EDH channel. Thank you for watching.